things.
No turning back, guys. How many weeks have I missed on this show?
Like a month.
I last week. Ooh, I really messed up, guys. I really messed up. Oh, welcome back. We got Zach. We got Bree. We got me. This is Let's Talk Broncos, and that's good Broncos. And we're gonna answer some very important questions. Brock Bowers' name keeps coming up for the Broncos to draft. We know the quarterback options. I want to talk to you guys about maybe if they're not taking a quarterback at 12, who you think they should draft or what their biggest need is outside of that. So there's kind of a lot to talk about outside the fact that this is probably the most boring Broncos offseason I can remember, maybe ever. Like, ever.
Yeah.
And it's the right thing to do. Like, I'm not complaining, but sitting through free agency while your team does nothing, and their two biggest moves were thinking Will Lutz and Justin Stranad were gone, and then they're not gone. We got them back. So really, we're the best at getting back the guys we thought left.
That was the most exciting part. I almost prefer chaos at this point, but that was the most that we got. It was like you shook it up a little bit just to give us something, just to feel something again. Wasn't enough, but you're right. It's the right choice. You don't want to be making those big moves right now. They're clearing cap. They're taking care of business. Zach, do you feel appropriately that they're standing pat and that's the good move?
Oh, Zach.
Yeah.
Zach's got a hard on for what's happening right now.
I love it. But Brandon's right. I've been laying this out for a few years. It's unfortunate, but the moment the Russell Wilson trade went bad, so like that Colts game, this was the right path. This was the best path. They frankly should have done it a year earlier. They're now finally eating their vegetables. And they're going from there. I think, yes, it's not very exciting, but all the signings are smart. I look at a signing like Lloyd Cushenberry or Jerry Judy. And okay, let's say Jerry Judy does become one of the elite number 2 wide receivers in the NFL. You're paying him market value at that point. There's no like bargains being made if that pick hits. Same with Lloyd Cushenberry. If he becomes one of the best centers in football, the Titans are paying him market value. There's no bargaining there. Everyone the Broncos signed, PJ Locke, Brandon Jones, Malcolm Roach, Cody Barton, are all very young, very cheap assets that thrive in a very clear, particular skill set. And not only that, it's a skill set the Broncos were in desperate need of. So I don't know. Also, they've all played their best football recently. They're on the upswing in their respective careers. The trajectory is pointing upward. Like, this is the type of shrewd, prudent moves a franchise in the Broncos position should be making. They're not flashy, but none of these are going to be killing us a year from now. No one's going to have Mike McGlinchey level complaints about these signings. They're all very safe and all could pay off pretty well.
You could be the Cleveland Browns and make some interesting choices in the offseason as well. Zach, we didn't get to cover it exactly when it dropped. I haven't been able to have the conversation, so I'm interested in Perna's thoughts on the Jerry Judy contract and what the Cleveland Browns are doing over there, building up their offensive weapons.
I mean, good for Jerry. I don't think Jerry went to a much better situation in terms of a quarterback who's going to feed him the ball reliably. I don't want it to be a situation where Browns fans are looking at Jerry Judy and going, why the hell did we pay this guy? Because I feel like he kind of went through all that shit here in Denver. And don't like, a lot of criticisms were fair, but like, I'm glad the Broncos didn't pay Jerry that. And that's not a knock on his talent, but like, when you need a quarterback, you can find a good receiver in the drafts. Like, I think over the last few years, if we've seen anything, it's that like finding wide receiver talent is there. And until they figure out their number one issue, like that is an area they don't need to be overspending at this moment. But for the Browns, like I just feel like what I've seen of Deshaun Watson the last 2 seasons has not convinced me he's as good as he was. And I hope he's terrible based on everything I think he is as a person. So I hope it blows up in their fucking faces, if I'm being honest.
I like your candor. I appreciate it. For all the Let's Talk Broncos listeners who are tuning in or in the YouTube chat with us, go ahead and drop your questions as well. If you can see the tweet floating around there over in the Twitter sphere, we want you to ask them now, and hopefully we'll get to them. We do have some to get to right now. Unless, Perna, I think you had some other questions for us before we got started, or are you good?
Yeah, well, we know quarterback's the biggest need in the draft. And the Broncos now are in a weird position where they're at 12. And we don't even think J.J. McCarthy will be there. We don't even think they can trade up to get J.J. McCarthy. We didn't even want J.J. McCarthy 2 months ago, but now we really want J.J. McCarthy because everybody's like, this guy's actually really good. So we're like, fuck yeah, get us J.J. McCarthy. But now we're going back to the guy we thought we might have wanted in the first place, which is Bo Nix or Michael Penix. Whichever guy Sean Payton likes more. I like them both. I like Spencer Rattler. I don't know about Pratt, but it feels like he's a guy Sean Payton might like. There's 4 options for them at quarterback, okay? And we're going to talk about him a lot over the next month. To me, Bo Nix feels like a Sean Payton guy. Michael Penix, to me, feels like a Raider. That just feels like the 2 things that are going to happen. The question is, do the Broncos worry about another team drafting Bo Nix in the first round? And if they don't, if they think they can get back up maybe into the top of the first or some shit, what do they do at 12? Who is a player? What's an area of need you would like them to fill there? Because the run we're going to see on quarterbacks and I think wide receivers up top leave a lot of interesting options for the Broncos to get better at edge, at corner, possibly on the offensive line if they want to go that way. And maybe defensive interior, but I really don't want them to go there at 12. Well, I just wanted to know what your guys' thoughts were outside of quarterback. Who would you be excited about getting at 12?
And I like the Brock Bowers idea a lot right now. I like the offensive line idea right now. Weapons in general. I'm all about getting offense. I think you look at the current landscape.
Sure.
And it's just hard to imagine the Broncos solving their quarterback conundrum in 2024. I think fans should kind of strap in and brace themselves for bad quarterback play in 2024. And no one in Broncos country wants to hear that. We so desperately want to get out of this desert we've been wandering for the last decade. But like, don't mistake a mirage for an oasis. That's not going to get you out of the desert any sooner. And I think you look at J.J. McCarthy, who, like, these are just objective facts, got a second-round grade from the NFL Draft Advisory Committee. For people that don't know, there's a advisory committee of a bunch of like former scouts, decision makers, personnel people that every year will advise different players on whether or not they should enter the draft by telling them like their projected draft stock, what caliber of prospect they are, so they know whether they need to go back and maybe up their stuff to make more money down the line. They told J.J. McCarthy he was a second-round caliber quarterback prospect. And up until a few weeks ago, that was general consensus.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about having to trade multiple first-round picks. And that second first-round pick in 2025 is probably a pretty high one, considering what the 2024 Broncos season is looking like. We're talking about trading like 2 top 12 first-round picks to get this guy. 3 months ago, he was a second-round caliber quarterback. Okay. And then Bo Nix is considered an even lesser prospect. He's 25. He's got a lot of warts. There's not a lot in his tape that projects cleanly to the NFL game.
I think he's actually
there's reasons to be excited about him too. I could get excited about a Bo Nix pick, but I don't know. You shouldn't be all in on quarterback or bust. And so if they're not solving the quarterback this year, set up the situation so when you try to take that swing in 2025 or 2026, whenever, the situation is set up well for that guy, and they're not having to rely on, I don't know. I don't know who their number 2 receiver would be. Marvin Mims, I guess. And, you know, he needs to prove a lot more before we feel confident in him being like a quality starter.
You see the same issue.
Your answer is Brock Bowers?
Yeah, get a weapon. Sorry. Get a weapon, Brock Bowers, or an offensive lineman. I don't care. I'll get someone on offense. That's my final answer.
All right, Bree, what do you got?
Well, I want to point to something in what we have as general questions from there. But I hate that camera angle. Let's never
Yeah,
do that to me again. Nobody needs that close up of my face. We've been having a lot of discussions in the Let's Talk Broncos group chat about the necessity of prioritizing draft spots and kind of getting a return on investment, how you can over prioritize having that 12th pick. And I think we're seeing a lot of the dichotomy here in Broncos country is that the QB or bust. So I'm glad that Zach brought that up because I don't think it necessarily has to be a QB. You see what Chicago did. They brought in Fields. He wasn't set up for success. He had to run around, and now he's a conditional 6th round pick. So to me, I think that you have to get your guy if he's there. We don't know who Sean Payton is tunneling in on. We don't know what the plan necessarily is. So I don't like the idea of targeting someone in particular, but I like the idea of giving up that draft capital if it helps build your team in a strong way. If other teams are looking for that, Frankie Abbott, who is a correspondent, if you will, for Let's Talk Broncos, throughout the idea of Brandon Ayuk, and I like Zach, I need to hop into this very aggressively because to me it seems like a no-brainer. If you have a 12th pick, you have no idea if the person you draft in that first round pick is going to turn out to be anything. But you know what that star Pro Bowler wide receiver is, and maybe it's not the biggest need in the Broncos room. And maybe it's not the biggest need on the roster, but the idea that you could get somebody of that caliber for that pick when everyone else seems to be kind of a shoe in there. None of the quarterbacks stand out to me. I like the idea of JJ McCarthy. I think he'd be exciting. I would go for that option. I'd be okay with it. But if you could get a return on investment that you know for sure that's what you're getting, I'm more in the favor of trading it away. And I know Broncos country is going to be a little shaky on that idea because the Broncos have given up so much capital in the last 2 years, at least at minimum. So I know it doesn't seem great. I know people really want them to draft strong and hope to God that they hit oil. I just don't think that it's not guaranteed. And I don't feel comfortable saying that's the only way that they get a successful return on investment.
Yeah,
So,
I think it's
So you want to trade back. Zach would be cool with Brock Bowers. What if they draft just at 12? Okay, they draft and it's not a quarterback. You say tight end. That's fine. If Brock Bowers is as good as we think he might be. If they're going to draft Brock Bowers, all I want them to do is stick his leg in a machine that just tests his hamstring for 3 hours. And as long as his hamstring is stronger than Dulcich's, then draft him. That's fine. But I think like if one of the premier edge rushers are there and you're not going quarterback with that pick, you're going to sit at 12. To me, that feels like the smartest move because that is one of those areas where we've got guys, but we don't have the guy there. And we've traded away those guys. And I think in especially the fucking AFC West, you want somebody who is kind of a terror, right? Like you need your Max Crosby. The Chargers figured out a way so they could keep Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack because I think they value what that position can do to opposing quarterbacks. I don't know the ins and outs of how good the edge rushers are in this draft, but I'm saying if the top of the draft happens the way it does, I think even ahead of tight end, I would be more excited about edge or even corner, like opposite another guy next on the other side of Surtain. Who's the best corner in this draft? Who's the best two corners?
It's debated. You know, Terrion Arnold out of Alabama is a guy a lot of people like. Quinion Mitchell out of Toledo is a guy that's also getting a lot of buzz. Was awesome at Toledo. Obviously, that's a much smaller school, though. But then he was awesome at the Senior Bowl, and then he's blown up every single element of the athletic
What if it's Cooper DeJean? What if we get?
I'm still convinced that George Payton thought Riley Moss was Cooper DeJean.
What if we double up on white corners? What is that?
I mean, I guess this is my thing. let Riley Moss try and play some football. You just spent 2/3. The Broncos would have 2 third-round picks this year. They only have one because they went, that second third-round pick, we don't need it. We need to spend 2 third-round picks to secure this Riley Moss guy. And then they couldn't get him on the field at all. They've also invested one of their very few premium picks during this like Russell Wilson era in Damari Mathis. The idea of investing, and a lot of this rings true at edge rusher too. They have 4 cornerbacks on rookie deals or similar deals currently. They have, if the stuff about Drew Sanders is true, 4 edge rushers on rookie deals right now. Those are maybe the 2 areas on the entire roster that are fine in terms of like investments of young talent in them. Everywhere else, I think, has extreme concerns. And maybe it gets to the point where I wouldn't feel so great about it at 12, but maybe they take a small trade back to 15 or 18. And those elite cornerback or elite edge prospects are still on the board. And we're looking at second tier offensive prospects. At that point, I'm all for it. But I remember the 2018-2019 draft where the Broncos in 2018 draft Bradley Chubb, right? They were thinking the same thing. We need to find that guy on defense. Edge rusher is an incredibly valuable position. Let's get us that dude. And then in 2019, when they drafted their hopeful quarterback of the future, we all heard for 3 years about how that guy did not have enough support. Let's get the guy the Broncos had in 2025 some support. Wouldn't have been nice if Drew Lock had Quentin Nelson keeping him upright in front of him or had DJ Moore to throw passes to. I think that would have been awesome. I think it would have helped Drew Lock's development a heck of a lot more than Bradley Chubb did. That's where I'm at right now. I've seen the defensive version of the Broncos. I'm fine if the defense is 32nd the next 4 years. Let's figure out quarterback and offense. That's all I want at this point.
No, that's fair.
Sorry, that's just a little bit shocking that you would take all the way dead last, because to me, I don't think that's finding any improvement. But would either of you be shocked if they went offensive line instead of weaponry?
No. And when really quick about the 30-second thing, I say that because I just don't care if it falls into disrepair. Like, get the offense right. That's the stuff that's sustainable, that lasts 15 years. Defenses, as we saw with like 2015, you can build them up and have an awesome 2-3 year flash in the pan, and then it's gone. Like, build up the defense once you have your window open. Don't like, you can build up the defense now, and then it'll be bad by the time you're actually in your window to compete. So that's what I'm saying there. I would not be surprised at all if they invest in offensive line. They can get out of Ben Powers, Mike McGlinchey contracts here in the next couple seasons. And then Garrett Bowles probably isn't a Bronco in 2025. I think there's a decent chance he's not a Bronco in 2024. People want to trade back to pick up an extra second or a 3rd round pick. You can have your cake and eat it too this way. Draft an Olu Fashanu or whoever in that top 15. You're set at tackle for the foreseeable future. And then you can trade Garrett Bowles, get a quality pick, and add more young talent to this team that fits your time frame.
Well, that's interesting. You could take a tackle and then you're saying take a tackle and then you trade Garrett Bowles, and then maybe you pick up your draft capital to move back up and take your quarterback if you want. I think like a young quarterback could come in and play well. The receiver weapons aren't there, and I think we saw some of the flaws in the run game. But I feel like the one thing I took away from last season was that the offensive line was pretty good. So I think if you're putting a young quarterback behind a good offensive line, then yeah, kind of see what you have with him. I don't think it's a disaster situation that he's going into. And the Bradley Chubb thing, that kills you because Josh Allen was sitting there. But also Chubb fell to the Broncos at 5. They didn't think he was going to be there, and it felt like a pick they had to take because he was the consensus, like he was considered one of the top 3 picks in the draft. And yeah, it didn't work out, obviously. But I mean, all of those are fair points, but I think what we don't know is what Sean Payton and the evaluators feel about the quarterbacks in this draft class. We don't have a fucking clue. And I think I don't know if it was you, Zach, or if it was Joey. One of you, I think, was tweeting about how I think it was Joey, that he felt like he knew the Broncos were going to draft Drew Lock like a month before they did. And that we haven't been right about anything in what we are thinking about the Broncos right now. And hopefully that's an indication of we don't really know what they like. And it will be a bit of a surprise to us. Whether that's maybe they take Penix at 12. We're like, oh my God, we didn't know they were that high on Penix the whole time, or, whatever. Anyway.
Yeah, I think it alleviates some concerns there. But anyway, on to the next. Do you have one more question for the group?
Do I?
Yeah, I just didn't know if you had another you were going to ask. Otherwise, we can go to the fan questions. You ready?
Yeah. Yes. Let's mailbag it.
Let's mailbag it. I like that. I think we should make that a segment and a graphic. Mr. Damari asks, and his name is also Exhausted Bronco Fan. Over on Twitter, I can appreciate it because samesies. In my opinion, passing on Bowers would be a mistake, given that Dulcich had played 12 games in 2 years. If the board falls and Payton doesn't like the options at QB, with Bowers is still on the board, A, would you take Brock, or B, would Payton take Brock? So those are two different questions. You can put yourself in Sean Payton's shoes, or you can draft as yourself and then draft as Payton. You already alluded to it. We already talked about Bowers being a top pick there for Seegers. But what does Sean Payton do, and does he pull a fast one on Broncos country?
I think Sean Payton could totally go for this. He's such a Sean Payton guy. Brock Bowers is. I think he fits the offense really well. Payton has consistently had these like large slot players. He uses for mismatches on the inside. It was Michael Thomas for a long time. Before that, it was Marcus Colston to have a little bit of a throwback. Brock Bowers is surprisingly very athletically similar to those guys. He is smaller than your average tight end and a lot faster and more athletic. He didn't have a 40-yard dash or a lot of that athletic testing this year, but he did coming out of high school. 24/7 Sports does a college combine for top high school recruits. Those numbers compare very favorably to Michael Thomas's NFL combine testing. Bowers out of high school had a faster 40, a very similar shuttle, a better vertical, a little faster 3-cone. So the movement skills are very similar there. The size is similar, except Bowers is like 20, 30 pounds heavier. And the big concern with Bowers is he's not a great blocker for the tight end position, but if you play him like that big slot weapon, he's a tremendous blocker for a slot player. And so all of a sudden, his biggest weakness becomes a tremendous strength. It's something I wanted the Broncos to do more with Greg Dulcich, frankly, too. I love that vision. I think it's very easy to picture Brock Bowers being used very similarly to how Michael Thomas was used by Sean Payton, and that makes me excited.
Yeah, I think like knowing that Dulcich has just been unhealthy, that if they're not going quarterback there, oh yeah, I'd be very excited about that pick. Please let us have the best tight end in the AFC West, so I don't have to hear about Travis Kelce. Dear God, please.
We've gotten to the begging stage.
How about this vision, Perna?
Does Brock Bowers have a brother who plays center?
That too, that could be an option. But as Travis Kelce gets ready to ride off into the sunset here and has plenty of tight end receiving records, Broncos usher in Brock Bowers and slowly just start wiping those records off the books, just removing him from the history books.
Sorry, I was looking at a text.
He missed your entire
point. I zoned out.
That's totally fine, Perna. Go ahead, Bree.
I want to grab something that you said because it stood out to me, and I also want to slide a different player in there for you. Since the Broncos are retaining Tim Patrick, doesn't that sort of fill that role for Sean Payton to have that excitement of having Timmy P back on the team as the Michael Thomas role? I could be completely off base, but he did highlight how much he enjoys his game.
Yeah, Tim Patrick is just a question of who is he as a receiver post 2 season-ending injuries? Like everybody here in Denver loves Tim Patrick. We all want him to be the guy we know he is, but it was an ACL then Achilles, right, or vice versa?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's tough. Those are 2 tough injuries to come back from for that position. You need to be explosive. And he was never the fastest guy. A big part of what he did well is just catch footballs no matter what. So maybe like that actually works to his favor. But yeah, it just comes down to injury. But if Tim Patrick is good this season, it'll be such a nice story for the Broncos.
He's got a very legitimate case at comeback player of the year. He might not have the like mainstream appeal. That'd be my one concern, but my goodness, he has the talent. If he can come back right and be a top, also there's the vacancy there for him. He could come out and absolutely be the Broncos' top receiver this season. If he's the same old Tim Patrick, yeah, it's just concerning. Like, I think Perna makes a good point. He's not necessarily like a speed-based player. But Cortland Sutton, who I think is a very similar play style, we saw it take like 4 seasons for Sutton to come back from that ACL injury and return to that like 2019 peak form we saw. I worry about Tim Patrick coming back from that and then having it compounded with an Achilles. I hope I'm wrong, but I fear we might not ever see this.
We hope medical science has been kinder to Tim Patrick than any athlete in NFL history.
That's fair. Now I'm just.
If I were Tim Patrick, I'd go to Aaron Rodgers' house and say, rub some magic on here too, please. I just need to cover all my bases right now. Whatever you do, Aaron, is it
play the dolphin noises?
We put rhino shit on my leg and it heals it while we listen to dolphins make love. Like whatever I got to do to get this Achilles right.
Whatever it takes at that point. Much as the conversation has revolved around what the Broncos are going to do at quarterback, Chug over on Twitter asks, if the Broncos don't get a quarterback in the first round, would you rather them go for a mid-round target like Rattler, Pratt, or a vet like Tannehill, Wentz? Listen, if you go on over to letstalkbroncos.com, you can read all about it on what the dwindling options are at quarterback, and Zach Seegers is going to tell you why. I'm going to have you answer that first.
Yeah, I'm just annoyed about people saying Broncos shouldn't do XYZ because the quarterback's going to be bad next year. Because even if they draft their guy, like rookies often aren't very good year one, you know? So like, get ready, everybody. It's probably not going to be great next year. Don't base your decisions off of what the 2024 quarterback is. Odds are it's not the long-term quarterback.
Here's how this is so easy for me to define. I am totally okay sucking with the rookie quarterback next year. I do not want to suck with a Tannehill or a Wentz or any of those other fucks. Okay. I swear to God, if Ryan Tannehill's our starting quarterback week 1, I might not even watch. Like that's how much I don't want, because we have that guy. His name is Jarrett Stidham. Okay. He can play just as well as any of those quarterbacks for all intents and purposes. And one thing Stidham has that those guys don't have is a little bit of a mystery and an upside, possibly. I'll die with the rookie every week thinking this might be the week he figures it out and we can believe in him. I'll never believe in Tannehill. I'll never believe in Wentz. I don't want to waste a single down with a Flacco, with a Case Keenum, with a repeat of that shit. Sorry, I get worked up about it, but I don't want to do it again.
What about a lesser evil like a Zach Wilson?
Is that a lesser evil? Is that a lesser evil or is that
I think it is.
Evil?
I think there's more ceiling left to discover there.
Okay, if the goal is to have the first pick next year, let's do it. Let's get Zachy Wilson, baby.
Yeah, I just think so on that front. Yeah, maybe Zach Wilson. I don't know. I would rather take the guy that I think is going to make the offense at least semi-competent. Not because I'm like trying to pursue winning at a high level, but I point to like the Jared Goff example with the Detroit Lions. It would have been very easy for the Detroit Lions to throw whoever a Zach Wilson type in there, you know, some washout, and just be really bad and get a high draft pick. Absolutely could have done that. But getting a Jared Goff, someone that was like a competent NFL quarterback, to just run the show has helped their offensive line develop, has helped their offensive play callers develop, has helped their weapons develop, because there's like things are working. How many times over the last decade of Broncos football have we talked about player X's development, whether it be a wide receiver like Judy or Sutton, or an offensive lineman or a quarterback or whoever, talk about player X's development being stunted because his surroundings were so poor. And I think you could get into that mess. Like, let's say we drafted Brock Bowers and then Jarrett Stidham is a bad quarterback. Like, I think the point about mystery there is apt, and there is a chance that Jarrett Stidham's like a reasonably fun quarterback this year, a decent starting quarterback this year. That upside exists. I think there's also the downside of that mystery where he's worse than we're expecting, and the bottom kind of drops out a bit and you don't have a functional offense. And what if you spent a first round pick on a Dunze or Bowers or a second round pick on one of these receivers who you're hoping to become a future building block in this new era, and now you can't evaluate them because you can't get them in the ball?
Yeah, well, that's fine. All of their stunted growth of any position that's not quarterback, I don't care. And I trust our head coach to develop the quarterback they draft or to get the best out of whoever the quarterback is. I just don't want to see the best of Tannehill or the best of Wentz. I watched the best of Wentz go by the wayside, two separate places. He got 2 extra chances. It wasn't good enough. Tannehill? No, thank you.
I was trying to come up with a
give me Spencer Rattler. I would be excited if they got Spencer Rattler in the 3rd round. I would say that's a great place to take him. I'll do it. I'll take Pratt there. I don't care. I would much rather crash and burn with a rookie next season, because if the rookie is bad and you're in a position to draft another rookie quarterback, do it. We know what the cost of making a mistake on a Russell Wilson is. I'll make mistakes with rookies till they figure it out.
Just keep drafting them. Just keep the carousel rolling, but make it younger, fresher, more exciting. Okay.
Draft a fucking 12-year-old quarterback who's really good right now. Make him the first 12-year-old quarterback. Rookie of the year, whatever.
Obliterate
what the Celtics did with Bird.
What's that?
Do what the Celtics did with Bird. Draft him a year early.
Yeah.
Anyway. There's no set. I mean, I don't know. I still don't know what's happening at center. But okay, the Broncos don't draft a quarterback. They go elsewhere. Jolene over on Twitter asks, if the top 4 quarterbacks are gone early in round 1 and the Broncos stay put at 12, would you rather take, if no other trade downs come up, Fashanu, which you mentioned, versus Murphy or Thomas Jr.?
I'd go Fashanu. Like I said, I really think the Broncos should prioritize offense and like getting things right for that quarterback whenever they do arrive. And Brian Thomas is really intriguing. Like, he's an amazing athlete. I think there's some similarities to like DK Metcalf in his game. I really wish we saw him do the agility testing, because that would have clarified how much like DK Metcalf he is. The fact he avoided the agility testing, I think, says something in and of itself. But Fashanu, up until I think this draft process started and people got diving into the tape and realized how awesome all the other tackles in this class are, he was a no-brainer top 5 pick. And Fashanu hasn't gotten worse. Everyone else, I think, has just gotten better through the evaluation process. He's an awesome tackle. I don't think he's like a road grader in the run game. He's not like a super physically overwhelming guy, though he is a plenty impressive athlete. I think what excites you about Fashanu is he's incredibly young. He's developed and mature beyond his years, and he's the best pass blocker in this draft. To talk about supporting a quarterback, put him on the left side, and that quarterback's blind side is protected for the next 5-10 years as they're trying to learn the NFL game. And I love that idea.
Yeah, and there's time there too. If you think like Bowles could be on the move, that might not even be like a draft day trade. It could be a before the trade deadline trade, and then you make your switch at tackle there if you drafted a tackle at 12, right? So there's kind of some room there, and there's some options. Give me Jared Verse though. Give me that sexy edge rusher. Knowing Zach really doesn't even want that. Give me that edge rusher. I want somebody who's going to sack Patrick Mahomes.
I'll say this. If the Broncos get any defensive player in the first round, I want it to be Jared Verse. That guy is a monster, and I love the human being, and he's an awesome player. Like, that would be defensive player number 1 for me in this draft. Go get him. If they're going to take defense, that guy. Tight.
Brian Thomas is a beast too. I don't know a lot about him, but when I was watching Jaden Daniels highlights like 2 months ago. I was like, who the fuck is this guy? Like the catches he was making. Yeah, DK is a good comp, but Brian Thomas he's a beast.
Anyway, I want to give a special shout out because I've been highlighting them, but we've been in the midst of conversation. Didn't want to interrupt all the important conversation, but shouts out to Broncos Runtree. Said Mason Smith will be a beast as a Bronco. Thank you for your super chat. We appreciate you. Mr. Rocket also came in clutch, knowing there's a 90% chance that the Broncos are awful next season. Shouldn't it be number one priority not to give up the 2025th first? I like the point.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, even if they take the quarterback this year or like everything we said, this team's probably going to be bad next year and they could use more help. They could use an elite piece from next year's draft. That 2025 pick is going to be in that range. You don't want a situation like we just had with Russell Wilson where you're sitting here in 2025 and it's like, oh, I really wish the Broncos had a quarterback and they have a first round pick in range of a quarterback. It just now belongs to a different team. That would be very painful to happen twice in 4 years. No thanks.
Yeah. Keep that first.
Twice in 3.
I mean, it'd be interesting though, because then it would just keep the snowball rolling down the hill through more shit. Crisp Addict asks, also his name is Get JJ McCarthy in Denver. Love it. If you had to pick one of the following quarterback strategies, which would it be? Okay, there's 3 of them, guys. Are you ready? Trade up and grab JJ. Give up a 2025 first. How appropriate, as Perna said. No. Take Nix at 12. Take Bowers, Turner, Verse at 12. Embrace a tough season and get your quarterback 1 in 2025. This is an important question because I want to know if there's somebody in 2025 that's already making you really interested as to what's going on. I thought Zach was muted. We didn't get him this time, folks, but stay tuned. It's bound to happen.
The only guy in 2025 we're interested in right now is Shedeur Sanders. So he's right here.
It would be
Is Dion saying he's not going to play for the Broncos? What was that cold weather BS? Oh, I don't want him to go play in a cold weather city. That's the softest thing I've ever heard. He's going to be a Bronco, possibly.
And Dion has often said that, Colorado's not as cold as it's made out to be. So maybe it wouldn't
He
even...
said that the day after we got our snowstorm. So I think he was getting a reality check. But yeah, the 2025 QB class is not nearly as hopeful at this moment as we're at now. Now, give it a full season of college football play to let that shake out because it changes a lot.
Yes. So I do agree with that on both counts. My pushback would be the 2024 quarterback class as a whole is not what the Broncos are looking at right now. Like you can take Caleb Williams off the board for him, right? And that's a big part of the reason the 2024 quarterback class is so enticing. You can almost definitely take Drake May off the board for them. I think there's a small reality where maybe that happens, but it seems incredibly unlikely. That's a big part of the reason the 2024 quarterback class is so attractive. And when you narrow it down to Jaden Daniels, who again is also probably off the board for him, Bo Nix, JJ McCarthy, and the rest of the bunch, I really don't think it's all that different from the 2025 class. Again, JJ McCarthy, guy who probably is going to go top 10 right now, he received a 2nd round grade from the NFL Draft Advisory Committee. That is the top quarterback we're talking about here. That's at least available to the Denver Broncos potentially. Shedeur Sanders or Carson Beck or Cam Ward, I would guarantee get a 1st round grade from that NFL Draft Advisory Committee and will be available to the Denver Broncos, or at least available in the sense that they could trade up for them. There will be options on the table for the Broncos to acquire those players. So if we're not only that, all 3 of the guys I just mentioned were being debated about as quarterback 3 in December, late December, early January. Not much football has been played since then. It's just been a lot of talking and a lot of underwear Olympics. And yet now the division is so great that with an entire season of play, they can't catch up to them. It makes no sense to me. I think there's a very good chance. Like I don't see a Drake May or a Caleb Williams in next year's draft. Outside of that, I think the 2025 class could be every bit as good as the 2024 class. Maybe not as deep, but depth is not what you should care about in a quarterback class. You're not trying to find the best mid-round prospect. You're trying to find your superstar, the guy who's going to compete with Mahomes for a decade. You need to care about high-end talent. And in terms of what's available for the Broncos, 2025 is not all that different in that regard, in my opinion.
I would take Nix
So-
at 12. Or Penix. Whatever guy Sean likes more. I like them both. Sorry, you're freezing. You're freezing, Zach.
Oh, that's terrible. I'm sorry.
You got you everything. We heard everything you said, and then I stepped in, and then you froze.
Yeah.
Take
so
it
we're
away.
good. Okay. All right. Wonderful. The shock selection piece. Paul, a loyal viewer here to Let's Talk Broncos. If you had one guess, who would be the biggest shock choice Sean Payton can make at 12? We were kind of teasing that a little bit earlier. What would be the Sean Payton move?
Running
I think
back.
that's don't joke. The running back needs a little bit of a facelift here. We still don't know what Javonte Williams is going to return to, and there's a little bit of a slide off there. I like the running back room as it presently sits, but if you could hit a home run there, that would be exciting. I know that makes Zach's skin probably crawl because he doesn't consider running backs people.
True. This is true. No, it's my favorite position. I'm just not going to pay him a lot.
Okay, you're not going to pay them, so you would draft them, ride them all the way through to that 5th-year option, and then get out quickly.
Yeah, if I'm trying to build a good football team, I'm going to try and build a good football team. If I'm trying to, be nice to running backs, I'll try and be nice to running backs, but I'll probably be fired. 2 different jobs.
Okay, that's fair.
I'm sorry.
Anything
I'm a running
Okay.
backs agent. I'm trying to get them the most money I can. Pay these guys. I want to see them be paid. I acknowledge that it's probably not the smartest idea, unfortunately.
Yeah.
All right, that's fair. I got a lightning round. Are you ready? Do you want to lightning round this?
Yes, lightning round.
I think we have thunder somewhere. Zach, I am approaching a birthday in which it makes my vision really bad. So if I stumble through these too terribly, please help me out. But I am getting old. USMC Sniper says, do any of you guys play video games at all? And if so, what platform do you guys play on? I'm going first because I'm presently waiting to get off here so I can go play some Skyrim on PlayStation. I have a PS4. I've been playing Skyrim off and on for about 2 years now. I quit. I go back to it. I spend too much time on it. My responsibilities fall off. My family misses me. And then I have to quit for a while. So Skyrim is my jam. Nothing else holds a candle to it. I don't do Madden because I don't like playing with people who can't take losing, or like maybe I don't get the game, as well as they do because they play all the time. So I don't do Madden. I want to learn, but I don't like that jump on the sticks, I'm gonna kick your ass kind of stuff. Like, just let me put my headphones on for 8 hours and kill dragons until my eyes bleed. How about you guys?
Perna, you a gamer?
No, I don't have time to play video games. I would love to be able to, but I think the last video game I played was the new Doom, which was really cool, and it was fucking hard. And the new Red Dead before that. But that was literally before during the pandemic, before the pandemic. I ain't got no time for no video games. Oh, Retro Bowl. I'll play Retro Bowl on my phone sometimes.
That's good.
That's
a good game. That's a great phone game. I gotta say, they know what they were cooking up there. I'm a PlayStation guy. I feel like I keep choosing the wrong console. Like as the other console gets better, I'm on the wrong one. I'm like chasing the one that was
like
good
trying
on the
to find
last
the quarterback
generation.
for the Broncos. Video
Yeah,
games.
for real. That's where I'm at. It's rough, but I'm on the PlayStation, and I've been playing a lot of Madden recently. It's been a while since I did this will be my pitch to people. Do the randomly created rookies. That's way more fun than the user created drafts that have real player names. Because whoever created that is going to say Caleb Williams is good and Drake May is good. It's just going to be a ranking of the best players in the draft with no randomness. And sometimes the first round picks don't work out, or the second round picks, and so on and so forth. The randomly generated rookies. I'm leading the Broncos on a Patriots-esque dynasty right now with undrafted Washington State free agent Kenny Hufftailing and his 95 speed rating as my quarterback. And it's a blast. I love this bizarre fantasy reality. The Broncos star receiver, the 6'5" Kevin Craig, who's got a 96 speed rating, guy would not exist in real life, but the stupid Madden computer doesn't know that. So they just create these weird monsters for you to play with, and it's a blast. randomly generated rookies on Madden franchise mode, get like 7 years into it, I would recommend it greatly.
I love it. We have another one from USMC. Really appreciate everyone sending in their questions. We'll do another one of these in a couple of weeks. So if you have some more that we didn't hit, please keep them coming, or you can tweet at us over on Twitter. Good luck finding us, though. Which current or former Broncos players on your guys' bucket list to meet in real life that you haven't met before, guys?
Ooh, current or former Broncos player?
This is cheating. I'd go Demaryius Thomas. I can go with a different one. I never got to meet him. And I mean, like what we hear from Mario and really anyone that got to be around Demaryius Thomas, he seems like, forget the Broncos element of it all, because of course he's one of the great receivers in team history, but just seems like one of the all-time people. Like Peyton Manning, the way Peyton Manning talks about DT. Peyton Manning's been around plenty incredible people, plenty of incredible talents. He seems like a real gem. I think that'd be mine. Still alive. I don't know. Mike Shanahan. I guess he's not a player, but I would love to just like pick Mike Shanahan's brain for an hour. I think that'd be fascinating.
Maurice Claret.
Were you gonna elaborate? Okay, that's cool. Thank you for that. It would be Peyton Manning. I've never met Peyton. I really want to. I really want to meet Peyton. I can't top the 88 answer, so I'm not even gonna try. That's fine for me.
I'd say Peyton. I've already met him, so.
Wow, that's really kicking me in the shin just live on the podcast.
So he was very impressed with me.
Just a real big fan. I want to actually, Derek Wolfe is the other one, and I feel like I'm just always in the atmosphere because he's like my favorite Bronco of all time. I know you've met him too, Perna. I don't really care, but we're always oscillating.
Don't say we call each other a friend. I don't know, but yeah.
I know you guys. Yeah, you guys are like, you're like cool. So maybe I'm just telling you that so you can facilitate it, because apparently all of my friends who keep having Derek Wolfe on their show just don't invite me when that's happening. And that's fine.
Specifically don't invite
me. Specifically don't invite me. Okay, last one. Who wins in a cage match? Battle to the death. Nathaniel Hackett or Sean Payton?
Oh,
obviously
easy.
Sean Payton wins.
Yeah. Sean Payton.
It's like tie a hand behind your back.
No, I don't think it's necessarily a strength thing. I think Nathaniel Hackett's too nice. And I wouldn't be surprised if we learned that Sean Payton has actually already killed somebody before. So I think he would just he'd be more comfortable finishing off the fight than Nathaniel Hackett.
Yeah. Sean Payton's cutthroat. He's like a Rottweiler or something. Yeah. And Nathaniel Hackett's like a golden retriever. He's really friendly, but I don't like, he almost dropped out of college to become a professional breakdancer.
I'd much rather hang out with Hackett than Sean Payton.
Sean Payton was suspended from the league for a year for paying people to injure other people.
No, he didn't pay them.
Wasn't that what it was?
Greg Williams.
I thought he was incentivizing it.
It was Greg Williams. He just let it happen.
Okay, that's the same thing as saying that
all the time too.
That's like the same thing as everyone bringing up Tom Brady and the deflated footballs. Like, it can't just be one person's responsibility. Everyone's culpable. Someone makes the decision and everyone else knows about it. I'm pretty sure he knew about it and incentivized it.
He was also putting steroids in the footballs too. So
you know what, Bree? I say he's as much of a victim as the opposing players.
That's ridiculous. I'm done.
I'm just giving you a hard time. Of course,
I don't even want to have this conversation anymore.
Did we do it?
We did it. We actually
the show
Q&A'd.
All right. Hell yeah. Well,
Bye,
let's get
everybody.
out of here. Bye.